Hello. Men, have you ever been in conversation with a woman and she is telling you about a problem she has? You politely listen and nod your head and just sit there. And at the end of it, you say, you can fix that by doing this or that, or I'll take care of it. That's not too hard for me. Anybody? I'm sure we all know what I'm talking about. After you say that, the woman gets frustrated because you didn't do what she wanted you to do. She just wanted you to listen, and you thought she wanted you to fix a problem. And that creates a situation where you both wind up frustrated because of miscommunication. In Karima Merchant's senior thesis for Claremont McKenna College, she discusses the communication differences between men and women in pages 19 through 25. Now, how in the world does this connect to communication studies and dynamic leadership? Well, our individual, functional, and organizational maturity depends on how well we communicate with others. So I think it is very important that we understand that men and women communicate differently in the workplace environment. Especially since we will be working with the opposite sex. Well, most of us will be. Probably all of us. I don't think there's really, maybe oil rigging, you wouldn't work with the opposite gender. So what does this article talk about for the gender differences between men and women? So we'll start with the men. So you've heard the old saying, women are from Venus, men are from Mars. She used that in the article. So men communicate to establish a social hierarchy of authority. They communicate to accomplish a common objective or solve a problem. They communicate to earn respect. They really don't share their personal thoughts more than necessary because it's considered womanly. They typically insult, heckle, and interrupt each other to no end, especially in just bro environments where there's not a lot of women, like the basketball court or the football field or the gym, something like that. And they use more direct speech and are more willing to be involved in conflict. Now, women, on the other hand, they seek to establish an emotional connection by talking. They seek to empathize. They talk by thought dumping. They're indirect. They don't like open conflict. They talk for relationship, and they talk to establish a common identity in shared experiences. I think when we step back a moment and consider whether the observations that Karima Merchant made in this article are true or not, we can typically see that that's true. Women will typically talk in large groups about common things. Men, typically just one or two guys throwing insults at each other for fun and laughing about it. So I don't have a lot of white-collar job experience, but I do have some blue-collar job experience. In fact, I don't have any white-collar job experience. So when I apply these gender communication differences to my individual maturity in my job, it helps me in two specific ways. The first way is when I'm talking to a female client, because when I understand that her modus operandi of communication is different than mine, it helps me be aware that she might be trying to impart dissatisfaction or discontentment in work that's been accomplished instead of just saying, oh, doesn't look that good. Like, to a typical guy, that might just be like, oh, it doesn't look that good. I don't have to do anything about it. But when you understand that she's actually probably saying, I don't like that and I really want it fixed. It's that indirect communication to try to avoid conflict. So having that awareness is helpful in my job to be able to say, oh, you don't like how that looks. How would you think it would look better this way or this other way? And it also helps me when I go to do estimates. So I haven't had a lot of time. I haven't gone on many estimates, but I've gone on a few. And it helps me doing estimates because specifically for my job, where it's custom residential construction, a lot of times it's a richer client and the husband has a lot of money and he lets the woman, his wife, spend it pretty much however she wants to. And so when I go into the estimate, I really need to make sure that I'm establishing a connection with the husband and the wife, but particularly with the wife because she's going to be the one wanting the work done more so than the husband does in most instances. So being able to establish that connection, that trustworthiness, that credibility with the wife will be very helpful in getting the job actually bid and under contract. In white-collar jobs, I've thought of a few things here that I think it might be helpful to understand gender differences in. I think that it would help reduce the amount of time lost from miscommunication, because I don't know how many things get thrown under the bus just, oh, they said that, it doesn't really matter, when it actually was very important and the man just thought the woman wasn't saying that specifically, wasn't saying the project needed to be done tomorrow. It was just a suggestion or something like that. And I think that helps. Understanding those gender differences helps in knowing when your colleague wants you to fix something or when they're just trying to shoot the breeze, both from women to men and from men to women. It also helps for the women to know that if there's insulting going on between male coworkers, that they probably aren't actually angry with each other. They're just establishing a brotherly bond and having some fun insulting each other. So this particular portion of the article was written to better understand the gender differences between men and women. I think understanding these basic differences in communication will aid in individual maturity, functional maturity, and organizational maturity. So guys, next time you're presented with a problem from a female, consider whether she wants you to fix the problem or just to listen and politely nod your head. And women, next time you see two guys heckling each other, throwing insults at each other, they probably are just being friendly. You'll know if they aren't, and they don't need interrupted, and you can just keep going about your work. Thank you. I appreciate your time.